Hello friends, my name is Myron and I'm so glad to be in the Vodcast TV studios in the Rosebank Mall, and I'm going to be starting my next recording, which is basically going to be talking to you today all about the Green Fund Company. So I'm super stoked to get in front of you and spend the next 40 to 50 minutes taking you through our latest prospectus. Okay, so the reason you're watching this is because you're interested in getting involved in the cannabis industry as an investor. So you have come across the link, someone told you about it, wherever you got it from, you're at the right place. So all I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna invite you to relax, put your feet up, watch this video. It's about 45 minutes, maximum an hour, and at the end of this hour, you're going to be in a position to make a decision on whether you want to invest in, number one, the cannabis industry, and number two, in our awesome company called Canna Trade Africa. Okay, so I've been doing this for quite a while. This is my third round of fundraising within the investment opportunities that we have at Canna Trade Africa. Before I go any further, I'm going to bring your attention to a little document. So basically, what I'm showing you now is the Cannabis for Private Purposes Bill. Now, when I start my presentation, this is my third presentation, it's actually my fourth presentation. I've done 3 presentations in our store in Sandton. When I've started each presentation, I've utilized this particular document as my opening prop. Now you look at me and say, Myron, okay, tell us more. Well, this is the Cannabis for Private Purposes Bill. Now what is so wonderful about this bill is that this is the latest bit of legislation in the fight for legal cannabis in South Africa. And the day before elections, on that fateful Tuesday, I went home from my day's work in a decriminalized business. The day after elections, on that Thursday, I went to work for the first time in our new legal business. Now this bill is not the cannabis for medicine bill. This is not the cannabis for recreational bill. This is the cannabis for private purposes bill. So what is so amazing about this bill is that this bill is basically all about cannabis for privacy rights. And that goes in line with the legalization that we have been following since 2017. But now you didn't sign up today for me to tell you all about the Cannabis for Private Purposes Bill. You've signed up and you've decided to watch this video because you want to know all about our investment opportunities. So without further ado, let's move straight into that. Okay, we are called Canna Trade Africa, and I am busy launching the Green Fund Company round 2. We start with an index. Now, a copy of this proposal or presentation or pitch pack, whatever you want to call it, will be made available to you. You can go onto our website right now. The website is www.thegreenside.coza. If you go to more, you see our prospectus, and that's where this particular pitch pack sits right now. The first page I start with is talking all about Canna Trade Africa. And Canna Trade Africa is the company that powers the green side. We are a cannabis seed to sale distribution company. We were incorporated at the beginning of 2019 after we launched in 2018 at the first ever Cannabis Expo. Around July, August of 2019, we opened our first store, which is called The Greenside in the suburb of Greenside. We opened our second store in May of 2021 in Kramerville, just near Sandton, and we opened our third store in Hazelwood, in the suburb of Pretoria in August of 2022. I'm really proud to say we have just opened our 4th outlet, which was this February, mid-February, in Midrand. So that is one hell of a track record for a company that only began in 2018 in a fledgling cannabis industry. We have today 4 stores, one in Greenside, one in Sandton, one in Hazelwood, Pretoria, and a lounge now in Midrand. Now, when we talk about cannabis, we understand that cannabis is all about brands. So over here on my screen, we've got some international brands in Royal Queen Seeds, in Aptus, in High Grade, in CBD Lux, and we have got some local brands, Lifolo, Bud Juice, Elixinol. So I am a professional marketer. When I began in cannabis, what was clearly evident to me that this game was all about marketing, and I really was ready for the journey of my life. Now, our business model is very interesting. We have 3 different sections. We have our direct retailing business unit, our brokering business unit, and our trade program business unit. These are 3 separate business units or divisions within the company. Now, direct retailing is what we are going to be talking about today. And that's what this presentation is all about, direct retailing, which is really where we open up stores. But these stores are not normal retail stores. They are what we call discount retail stores. It's a store that gets to know you. And as you grow with our store, we learn your habits and we know exactly what you want. It's a new type of store. Then we've got the brokering. Brokerage is where we join the dots between licensed growers or cultivators of cannabis and licensed buyers of cannabis. And of course, our 3rd business unit is our trade program. In our trade program, we basically join the dots between products and the manufacturing or importing of those products and taking those products to the market. Now, I must be 100% honest with you. Direct retailing is where we are focused. We set out to build a brand that owns the customer. Brokering, it's good. It falls in our lap. We do it. But trade is very different in our kind of a company. Now, before I tell you more about trade, let me explain to you a little bit about who I am. I have a pedigree. I'm a 3rd generation crossed. Crossed is a family household name in South Africa. My grandfather and his 2 brothers began a business between World War I and World War II. I was involved with my brother and my father in a 2nd generation version of one of these businesses. And I jumped out of that business in 2018 when cannabis was legalized, because I knew that as an activist in the space and as someone who knows all about plant-based medicine, I jumped very quickly into the cannabis and wellness space. So when I looked at business and I said, what kind of a business am I going to build in this context, I realized that the business that I was going for was owning the customer. I wasn't going to land up in a business where I was empowering and enabling middlemen to make money with my products, because I knew ultimately, and this is where you are fortunate, if you choose to invest in this company, you've got someone who comes with a great pedigree, and you've got someone who understands the nuances of business in South Africa, both in the context of the South African microeconomy and the context of the macroeconomy. So to get back to the point, what did I learn in my family business? I was involved for 20 years in a family business looking after middlemen, resellers. At the end of my tenure in the furniture industry, I learned firsthand how the end user is forcing out the middleman and how the middleman is falling away. And there is a relationship directly with the brand, manufacturer, importer, and the end user. So I set out to build a different type of trade program, and that is what we are going to talk about right now. So what we did, we first of all set up direct trade, which is just regular trade. So direct trade is regular trade. It's basically where you've got regular trade with a regular range of greenside products. But that's not our main focus. Then we've got what we call kiosks. A kiosk is where we find a partner who has a successful primary business. For example, we have a partner in Bergville who has a backpackers, and in that backpackers, we set up a cannabis kiosk as a secondary business. Another example of this is our partners in Equestria, Pretoria. These people have got a vape shop that is very much involved in harm reduction, and we have put a cannabis clinic in their vape shop to assist with this movement of harm reduction. So that is our kiosks. We then move over to our third trade program in what we call joint ventures. Now, a joint venture is very exciting for us as we have just opened our first joint venture. It's still in its infancy. It's only 4 months old. It's going very, very well. It's a JV. It's a new co where we own 50%, our partners own 50%, but it is a greenside store. And in these joint ventures, we are doing lounges that are cannabis specific, which we call a lounge and cannaporium. We are doing lounges that is pharmacy specific, which is a lounge and pharmacy, and then we are also doing inner city kiosks. So that is something that we are doing within our JVs. So you can watch this space if you're watching this video and you want to know a little bit more about our expansion plan within our trade program. That is where we are opening up kiosks, and you will see kiosks opening up all over the place in very strategic positions with very strategic partners, and of course the joint ventures that either will be inner city kiosks or these new types of lounges. We now look at the value of the cannabis industry. Now we have a number, there's 102 billion rand. And over here I have a link, and if I click on that link, I can read all about it. So when you get a hold of your prospectus on the website or request a copy from us, you can download that link and check it out yourself. So I'm saying to you, the cannabis industry is going to be worth 102 billion by 2026. That is 2 years by now, 2 years from now. And we're going to have an industry worth 102 billion just in South Africa. So I ask you, Mr. Prospective or Miss Prospective or Mrs. Prospective Investor, and I ask you, any of our partners who are watching this, who are also saying, why don't we come on board? I'm asking you the question, are you with us? Are you not? And if you're with us, we are going to huddle together and we are going to capture 1% of this 102 billion. And if my maths is correct, that is R1 billion. And R1 billion is plenty for us and all of our partners. There's plenty to go around. We don't need to be greedy. So now you have a rough idea where you are in the right place. You've decided to watch this video. You've taken the first step because here you've just learned that this industry will be worth 100 billion within 2 or 3 years. Hell of a thing. So we now look at Canatrade Africa versus our competition. Well, firstly, we have got a deal with a pharmaceutical manufacturing company. And it's very important if you are going to do business in the cannabis game. We may not always like the pharmaceutical industry, but it is very necessary to have the right partners. We have other partnerships with licensed cultivators. Some of our partners had research licenses, and then they now have gone from a research license to a full license, and we have licensed cultivators. We have international and local relationships with brands. And I told you, cannabis is all about brands. And some of these brands are local brands, and some of these brands are international brands. And we have got either direct relationships with these brands or a relationship that basically means that we work together as a collective. We know what we want to be. And we know that we will be a leader in the cannabis wellness sector. That is really what we are going for. Through SEO, we have achieved really top results. And if you go and you Google CannaTrade Africa and you type in different keywords, you will see how we come out time and time above the competition. That is because when we began in 2018 with this brand, CannaTrade Africa, we set out to capture the SEO. Remember, I reminded you that I was part of a big family organization, and my job for the last 20 years was the brand ambassador and marketing and strategic sales officer of this private family corporation. And through that, I understand all about both SEO and PPC or pay-per-click. Now we have got a whole range of websites, and later on, when we click on the website page, I will quickly show you these websites. We have a whole range of websites, just like our friends from Apple and some of the other leaders out there that show us to break down the website into multiple domains on multiple URLs. So we're not stuck in one URL with one big conversation. If you'd like to know more about, if you'd like to have a look at the store, the first store, the Greenside store, before we even had renovated the second part of it, we have a video that we created that was done some time ago as well. Now, talking about our library of websites, when the presentation is finished, I then will take you through these websites. But at this point, I'm not going to break your concentration. I'm not going to break our flow. CannaTrade Africa is the website that's all about our organization. Fresh and Healthy is a website that's all about our organic food and our relationship with basically food as medicine. The green side is our heavy, hard-hitting e-commerce site. And the Green Clinic is our wellness program. Now, I can't say that all these websites are perfectly complete, but I can say that the Green Side website is poised to be the #1 website in the industry. It is a radical website. Go check it out for yourself. You will see the power of this particular website. And just as a little side note, we have taken this website and we have integrated it with our point of sales in the store. So we are extremely tech-savvy company where we've really combined the best of online with the best of in-store. When it comes to our social media links, of course, we're in a time of rapid social media explosion and expansion. We have got LinkedIn, which is linked to my personal LinkedIn as the CEO. We have our Facebook that is CannaTrade Africa. Now, the CannaTrade Africa Facebook is basically a Facebook page that is 100% watched by the Meta Group. And we can't do much in it because it's basically tagged as a cannabis Facebook page, but it grows rapidly, just as if we were posting it all the time. We then have got our Fresh and Healthy, and under our Fresh and Healthy Facebook page is where we do most of our marketing. This is really the Facebook page that still can do or has managed to be able to still do paid for Facebook marketing. We then have got the Green Side Facebook page, which we don't do any paid for marketing, but we utilize it heavily to get our content out there. When it comes to Insta or Instagram, we have the Greenside Pharmacy Instagram, which is a cutting-edge cannabis and wellness Instagram. We have the Fresh and Healthy Instagram, and we actually have our newest Instagram, which is called the Green Gold Clothing. We are following the trend of having limited Facebook pages, but multiple Instagram accounts that can be linked to different parts of the business. So for example, the Midrand store, which is the Greenside Lounge, Midrand has its own Instagram handle. Now, I'm telling you all about this amazing story about cannabis. I'm telling you about opportunities that are available for you to buy into. But what about the numbers? The numbers. Well, I got involved in this business, as I explained to you people, in 2019, and in early 2020, basically 28 February 2020, we were fortunate to have done, in that first year, we were fortunate to have done 2.3 million rand, with a small loss of 34,000 rand. Now, basically, to have done 2.3 million rand for a brand new business that had just started, that only had our shop open for 4 months, is quite fantastic. And I have created many companies, but I've never created a company or a project that did over 2 million rand for its very first year. The next year, which was through COVID, which is basically Feb 2028, 2021, we jumped from 2.3 million to 3.2 million. Now, this is absolutely staggering to have grown our base from 2.3 million to 3.2 million and still have a small loss of about 64,000 rand. And this was through COVID. We carried on growing. The next year, which is Feb 28, which would be 2022, we grew from 3.2 million to 5.2 million with a loss of 32,000 rand. Now let's just take you through these numbers. We are saying 2.3 million rand our first year, 3.2 million rand our next year, 5.2 million rand our third year. And we have then carried on growing. We have gone past 9.5 million rand our fourth year, and I'm really glad to say that the year has just finished. We've moved beyond 13 million rand. So we have grown a business from 2.3 million rand to 13 million rand within 5 years, with 2 lockdowns and an energy crisis, with riots against all the odds in an industry that's undefined. And what we did uniquely in this industry is that we set out in this undefined, uncharted land. We set out with a view to create our own compliance, to create our own story, which you're going to hear a little bit more about next. Before we tell you more about that, let's understand who the executives of the company are. I'm Myron Crost, as I've introduced myself before, and I am the CEO of the company. But I'm not just a normal CEO, I'm the CEO. I am the founder, but I'm also in charge of the entire wellness focus and the wellness program that we run. And that's why we are such a different type of company, because we have such deep integrity. Stephen Gericke is my right-hand man. He is our operations director. And Stephen has been with me, not right from the beginning, but pretty much close to it. Maybe 6 months in, he joined the company in 2019. Ryan Friedman is our national sales manager. And Ryan has also been with us from 2019. The three of us have been the stalwarts who have founded this company. The three of us have taken this vision, this concept, and we are in a position where we are right now with our third round of fundraising. And then, of course, I have Richard Cooper, who is the executive director. Now, Richard Cooper is a young man of around 30 years old, and he is a CFA, and he basically is supporting the company with all our heavy financial needs. And Richard is the character who has helped us put together this prospectus and who is basically our executive director within the Green Fund company. We'll tell you more about that when we move into that part of the presentation. I then have Alex Mpande. Alex Mpande is our trade executive. I have got Tyne Laws. Tyne Laws is our facilities executive. And Matea Haynes. Matea Haynes is our food and beverage executive. And there is your team that is helping myself and representing our shareholders that is building this wonderful, wonderful startup. Now, you might ask me, Myron, what are you building here? And you'll hear about it as I go along. What I'm basically building here is a startup company. The startup began in 2018 into 2019. And by 2028 into 2029, which is 10 years, we are planning on a public listing or an IPO. And that is exactly what we set out to do, and that is why you are taking the time. That is why your feet are up. That is why you are relaxing and watching this presentation to get educated all about the cannabis industry and to get educated all about Canna Trade Africa and the green side. So let's move on. Now here is the current share split. Within the share split, I'm going to point you to only two of the main shareholders, shareholder A and shareholder B. I am shareholder A. I did not set out on day one to own the bulk of the shares, but when I started in business with two other partners in cannabis, we all came undone and we unbundled, and I took over Canna Trade Africa out of the new group that we had formed. So hence, I landed up with the lion's share of the cake. And then B is 13% that basically goes into our green, that belongs to the green seed. The green seed was the first round of investments. And I will show you on the next slide a little bit of information about the green seed. And the last investor I'm going to draw your eyes to is investor number F. Because when we look at the Green Fund company today and start to understand today's offering, you will remember that 3%, that this 3% over there, that this 3% is owned by the new fund company. Okay, cool. Let's move on. Now, when we open Green Seed, we opened Green Seed around December of 2020. It took us roughly just over a year to sell all 14 of those shares. And we sold them at 157,000 Rand a share. Now, when we sold those first shares, investors said to me, Myron, so what is the value you are projecting? I said, well, the value must be around 15 million Rand. And they said to me, because I'd only done that first 2.3 million that I showed you earlier. And they said, Myron, you've done 2.3 million. You've made a minus 34,000 Rand loss. How do you justify this price of all this valuation? And I said, you know what it's about? I have only 14% to sell. I need to raise a specific amount of money. Therefore, if I do the maths, I get to the number of 157,000 Rand. And I then set out we raised capital, and we sold a couple of these shares pretty quickly, and we opened up our store in Sandton in around March, April, May of 2021. By June, July of 2021, when we went into our second national lockdown, which was around May of that year, and people came to visit the store, they said to me, aha, I get it, I see it. Because what we did, we took what we had done in Greenside, which was wonderful, and Greenside really is still the most fantastic, amazing store. But we created a store in Sandton that is duplicatable. Now, my friends, this word is very important when you understand why you are investing with Myron Crossed. Because I am all about building sustainability, and I'm all about what we call duplicity, where you can build a business unit and you can duplicate that business unit pretty easily once you get all the right elements stacked up. Now, if I go to the next share, I'm so glad to announce that the run on those 14 shares have already begun, because the first shareholder sold their shares, one of our shareholders sold their shares back to Canada Africa, and we bought it at 250,000 Rand. Because as I explained to you before, and you'll understand more about this later, the new Green Fund company requires 3% of Canada Africa. And if I'm selling the equity, I will sell it at the highest rate, which is between 700,000 Rand a share and R1 million a share. But if we are buying back from investors that are within that green seed segment, we can buy back at a lower price. So we bought back at 250,000 Rand. We still have to buy another 2. So I have set up a deal to buy 1 unit at 350,000 Rand and 1 unit at 450,000 Rand. So I go back to this slide, and if I show you this B used to have 14 shares, but not anymore, because one of those 14 have gone over there. And now we still need another 2 of these. Still, at the moment, the 2 come from me, but I will be getting back my 2, and I will go back up to 68%, and the green seed will come down to 11%. And what we have done, we have started the run on our first round of investment. So now you, Mr. Investor, are asking the question, what is in it for me? How do I make money? Well, I'm showing you. You make money from capital appreciation. Investors bought in at 157,000. They are now able to sell already within 2 years at 350 and 450,000 Rand. Now that is really very, very good returns on a capital appreciation. So now we're going to move into what we call the living brand. Now, if I say so myself, I am a very dynamic marketer. I have been marketing for many, many years. Within my job at Crossed, I was the brand custodian for a 70-year-old brand. And I learned really marketing from my family forefathers, and then obviously I became very current as I am a relatively young man, being only 54 years of age. So I learned all of these tricks of the trade. Now, some might call it the word guerrilla marketing, but I tend to make up my own language, because all of these terms like guerrilla marketing and pay it forward are terms that are describing things that I have been talking about for a long time, being the visionary that I am. So the living brand is where we basically get out there and we expose our brand to the public through events, through exhibitions, and this is things that we learned how to do from working within my office furniture space, being involved in activations and all these type of things. So now, with our living marketing, we have three main brands. So we have the brand which is Canna Trade Africa. This is actually the name of our company, but it's also a trademarked brand. Now, Canna Trade Africa talks about the 3 Bs: best products, best protocols, and best prices. It's not good enough that we have a product that is only a great product. It has to have the right protocols of the way that product has been made, and it has to come in at the right price. And this is the 3 Bs of Canna Trade Africa. The logo itself will show you where it's the cannabis industry coming from the world into Africa, and from Africa back out to the world again. That is Canna Trade Africa. We then move over to the green side, Fresh and Healthy. I began this brand called Fresh and Healthy. I began it around 2016. And it's all about distributing organic veggies from the farm to the house or the kitchen table. And when I got involved in the cannabis industry in 2018, and when I sat with the legal representatives, they explained to me that I had the perfect vehicle to build a private club, because we had built Fresh and Healthy as an NPO or an NPC, and Fresh and Healthy was all about teaching people how to use organic food and superfoods. And all we needed to do was create what we call the Superfood Foundation. And I told you at the beginning of this presentation that the name of the bill is the Cannabis for Private Purposes Bill. So all we needed to do was take Fresh and Healthy and our superfood focus and build a foundation, which is called the Superfood Foundation. And it is this Superfood Foundation that is the basis of our Privacy Club, and that allows us at this point in the industry to operate in a legal framework where other companies do not have a legal framework. And you can say to me, Myron, how is your framework legal when cannabis clubs are still being tabled? Well, to be honest with you, what we did is we set out to self-comply where there was no guidance on compliance, where we only found corruption and self-interest. We studied the market in Barcelona, California, Israel, Amsterdam, Canada, to understand the framework. And we then built, based on the Barcelona model, we built our private members club. And we set out to defend our private members club from all of those who tried to intimidate us from trading. And we stood up proud to all those parties. And eventually, we had to stand up proud to the authorities last year. And we came through that. The NPA told the particular authorities at the time to give us back our stock, to leave us alone, that we were on the right side of the law. And today, we are the ones who are working hands in hand with Fields of Green, who is the first step in privacy clubs. We are working hand in hand to write the Dhaka Private Club Association. We have already written the code of conduct. So our club, and this club that you are busy deciding whether you are going to buy into or possibly partner with, it is this club that is being utilized to show everybody what to do. And on the 7th of August, we are going to be launching this association with a wonderful campaign called Just Don't Pay, Join the Good Guys. That is something that you'll watch out in our socials for. So the Fresh and Healthy became Very, very important. Now, as expert brand builders, custodians of 70-year-old brands, and knowing what needs to happen to make things stick, we, of course, trademarked the Fresh and Healthy brand. How did we do it? Because we couldn't trademark Fresh and Healthy, so we trademarked the green side Fresh and Healthy. Basically has been through a trademark, through a brand changeover from Fresh and Healthy to the green side Fresh and Healthy. And this now brings me to our third brand, the green side. And the green side is also a trademarked brand. And when we opened the green side, it was not our intention in 2019 to build a brand called the green side. But as Canna Trade Africa, when we opened in 2019, we were opposed by many parties that said, you can't do it. You can't sell your products here in the street. You can't do it for whatever the reason was. And the more people said can't, I didn't hear the T. I heard can. Can. I can do it. I will do it. We did it. We trademarked the Greenside brand, and we set out to build a brand that is so strong that today is becoming viral, that today is known amongst all of those in Gauteng mainly who are in the know, who are looking for the best quality cannabis and wellness products. They will find the green side. And why? Because of B. Best products, best protocols, and best prices. Because of Fresh and Healthy and the Superfood Foundation that allows us to work with privacy rights and allows us to trade in a space that is normally where you can't trade. So if you want to see a little bit more about how we market, you will click on these links and you will see some of our events. So what we did to launch this brand all the way back in 2019, we held events. And these 3 events, the launch party, which was September of 2019, Flower Power, also in 2019, Seedology, also in 2019, or possibly very early in 2020, before COVID started. Each one of these events were basically events to build the brand and bring people to the green side that were made with videos and promotional videos and a lot of activity. And all these events were free. And when we launched the green side, 300 people came to our launch event. So it was out of the stables from day one, the eye of the public. And that is why when I say to you, this is a good opportunity for you to get involved in. Trust me and trust us. But don't just trust me, trust yourself. Go and visit the store, see what we do, and understand why the green side over any of the other competitors out there. Now COVID kicked in. And when COVID kicked in, most people backed into their shell. What we did, something very, very different. We stepped out there. We changed our focus from talking about cannabis to talking about wellness. We got a license to operate through our food, through Fresh and Healthy, and we set out to build a whole lot of events that were streamed to people. We in fact did a streaming event where we streamed to over 500 people. So COVID was very good for us. It wasn't bad for us. And if you click on each one of these little videos, you can see some promotional videos and understand a little bit more about our marketing style. Here is a wonderful store gallery. If you haven't been to the green side, well, you're really missing out. But you can see a few of our pictures that come out of the Sandton store and come out of the Pretoria store. And now I'm going to take a 1-minute breather. It's not going to be a whole minute. I'm going to have some water. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to just clear your head, stretch yourself up and get ready for the meat of the presentation, because what we're going to talk about now is going to assist you to make that decision. And when you finish this presentation, you're either in or you're not in. But maybe if you're not in right now, you'll be in later, and we'll tell you more about that. Okay, so firstly, we are forming a company called the Green Fund Company. The Green Fund Company has been formed by Canna Trade Africa to look after our expansion plan. And Richard Cooper over there, Richard Cooper, who I've introduced you to before as one of our executives, is our main partner within the Green Fund Company. Now, the Green Fund Company, over a 3-year period, is going to open a minimum of 6 stores, and it's going to inspire far more than 6 stores. So the first store within the Green Fund Company was opened in 2022, because this is the second round of this fundraise. And that store was opened in 2022 and has been going now for 18 months. And that store is basically a carbon copy of our Sandton store. And the Sandton store and the Greenside store are owned 100% by Canna Trade Africa. Now Canna Trade Africa opens a new company called the Green Fund Company that's going to open 6 stores. 50% of that company is owned by you and our other investors, and the other 50% is owned by us, Canna Trade Africa. So we've opened the Pretoria store, and it has been running for 18 months, and you can visit it, and you can go see what it's all about and understand what you are buying into. We then opened a lounge in Midrand, which was opened this year, which is one of our franchise stores. We then are going to be opening a store later this year or early next year in Cape Town. And that is why we are starting the aggressive fundraising, because we have been offered a location in the second hemp building in the city of Cape Town, going into Harrington Street. So we will be getting a store in the second hemp building, which will be wonderful because it will be a full tourist destination. We then will be opening a store in KZN. We then will open 1 store in the Garden Route. And that means we'll have 4 stores in South Africa between now and 2026. We then will step out of our comfort zone and open 1 store in Africa and 1 store in Europe. So let me explain to you a little bit about what we're doing. The first thing we're doing is learning how to support stores on a duplicity concept, where we duplicate. So we open a store in Gauteng, and we open up the regional store of Gauteng in the city of Pretoria. Now you say to me, Myron, why are you opening 1 store in Gauteng when other cannabis companies are opening stores all over the place? Because basically, we have the 2 stores, the Greenside store and the Sandton store, that teach us what to do. Now we will be opening 1 store per region as a big store, as that's called a touch point store. So it's a store for people to visit, see, learn, and when they need to engage, they can engage online, they can engage via a smaller kiosk somewhere. They have options on how they engage. So Pretoria is our first store. We then will open up Cape Town. We then will open up KZN. We then will open up Garden Route. And then we will have our 4 stores opened up. We then are going to go offshore. So we're first going to learn how to run a store in Pretoria. We're then going to learn how to run a store in Cape Town. Now we are very successful in running our store in Pretoria. So now we are learning how to run a store then we will learn how to run a store in Cape Town, which is 2 hours flight away and a whole day's drive. We then will practice running our stores and open up the other regional stores, and then we will go and tackle 1 store in Africa and 1 store in Europe. And by the end of that, we will have a good knowledge. We will have our 2 stores that Canada Africa own and our other 6 stores that includes an entire offshore plan. And I'll tell you more about the offshore plan later. So round 1 in the Green Fund Co., we set out to raise 3.7 million. And with this 3.7 million, we set out to open up our Pretoria and Cape Town store. We raised the capital and we managed to open up our Pretoria store. And due to the energy crisis, it took a little bit longer than planned. And we basically got that store sustainable and survived very nicely to this point. And now we are raising in the next round to open up the Cape Town store. So before we go any further, let's explain to you how this round worked that will make it easier for you to understand the next round where you guys are going to be buying. So if someone bought in round 1 and we had 20 shares available and they're all gone now, the investors paid 185,000 Rand. So if someone paid 185,000 Rand and they received this little green they received this green piece over there. This piece included a micro share in the main business. So for example, over there is a little green piece over there, and there's a little green piece over there, and there's a little green piece over there. And it shows you how within each unit you buy or share you buy, there's a small micro share in the main business. So for example, in this particular situation, you paid 150,000 Rand for your share in the Green Fund Company, and you paid 35,000 for your micro share in Canatrade Africa. So it's pretty simple to understand. 185,000 was the buy-in, and 185,000 gave you 1% in the expansion plan. And the money that we raised, the 3.7 million, was used to open the Pretoria store, to make the Pretoria store sustainable, to get the plan going for the Cape Town store, and to get us to the next step. We know how to run stores in a very cost-effective way. So to run the store in Pretoria is anywhere between 77,000 Rand over here and 103,000 Rand over there. And this is really the kind of money we need to run a store with everything in. This, of course, does not include any of your executives that are part of Canatrade Africa or the marketing services, but it is really what we need to run that store with a team. We then ask the question, how aggressively and can we make our money back? Now, I must be honest with you. The minute we start talking about ROI, returns on investment, it's when I say, okay, hang 10 people. Remember how I started the conversation. The reason you are buying into this investment is not to receive dividends. Yes, there will be dividends down the line, but you are buying in for capital appreciation. You are buying in to get a little piece of one of the top 10 cannabis companies in the country. And if you think about the cell phone industry or the telephony industry, and you ask the question, how many companies are there in telephony? You'll know maybe MTN, you'll know Vodacom, you'll know Cell C, you'll know Telkom, you may know Huawei, but you won't know all 10. But there are no more there are no more companies. Those 10 companies own everybody. Yes, it has taken 20 years to get here, but go back 20 years to the beginning of the cell phone industry. There were Blackberries, there were Nokia companies, there were all these companies, there was Autopages. And where are all these companies today? They are gone. And who exists? 10 giants. So I can tell you, friends, and this is for free, when we get there, when the cannabis industry gets to the same place that the cell phone industry is, and whether it takes 10 years or 20 years, ultimately there will be 10 big players. And we will be one of those 10. And you, if you buy in now, will also be one of those 10. And if I go back to this slide over here and explain to you what you need to know, right over here is you got a micro share in Carry Trade Africa. We took 1% over here and we divided it by 20. And it translates to 1/20th of a share. It doesn't make a difference if you have 1,000th of a share. You still are eligible for all the good stuff that shareholders will get as we go on this road that will end with a listing in 2029. And that is why you want to come in. And that is why when I talk to you and you ask me and we look at this slide over here, how long, Myron, to get profitable? Well, anywhere between 7 months over there, anywhere between 7 and, here's 7 months, here's 6 months it took us. But it's not realistic, friends. What is realistic is we slowly get profitable. We first get sustainable. We then get profitable because we are not here just to chase profitability. We are not here just to make returns for investments. We are here for the following reason. We are here to build businesses that are primarily good. I'm just going to go to the next slide. That are primarily good for the environment. Then a business that is good for the consumer. And then a business that is good for the team member. And then the executives who run the business, and then the shareholders. That is environment first, then consumer, right? Then team member, then executive, then shareholders. So, Myron, you're inviting me into your business as a prospective shareholder, but you're telling me that I have the last focus. Yes, that is exactly what I'm telling you. And if you look at any of the big businesses out there, if you look at Jeff Bezos and the story of Amazon, and if you look at the FANGs, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google, Alphabet, all of these big companies, and you see what is their market cap against all the other companies, you will learn very carefully that if you are going to survive in the future business of singularity, in the future business of the fourth industrial revolution, then you better build a business that, number one, is good for the environment, and number two, good for the customers, and number three, good for the people who work there. And yes, shareholders will get taken care of. If you manage to buy Apple shares when Apple first listed, you probably never got a dividend your entire life. I don't think Apple's ever given a dividend. But look at your appreciation. And that is what I am showing you now. I am showing you the path. This is the same conversation about Bitcoin. If you got in Bitcoin when Bitcoin first launched, when it was $2,000, today it's excess of $50,000. I mean, this is madness, what is going on in our world right now. Okay, so the next cost estimate will be to open the Cape Town store. Why are we opening Cape Town? Well, Cape Town is still very relevant, and I can tell you why we are opening Cape Town. Basically, Cape Town is our next store. It's 1,500 kilometers from Johannesburg. We want to learn about supporting a store in Cape Town. We've done 2 cannabis expos in Cape Town and have many customers in Cape Town. And yes, Cape Town has got many cannabis companies, but we are not going to Cape Town to compete. We are going to Cape Town to complete. We are going to complete the cannabis industry. And that's why we go to Cape Town. Cape Town is segmented by economics. It's basically very wellness-centric. Cape Town has got a population of people that leave Cape Town during the winter months and come back. These people that are called the Swallows are extremely open to cannabis and wellness. Cape Town is a center of the artistic and marketing community, and as a market leader in cannabis, it's only right we have a store in Cape Town. Okay, cool. That is why Cape Town. What are the numbers for Cape Town? Well, anywhere between 82,000 Rand and 110,000 Rand. Those are the numbers, basically, of what we're going to spend to run that store in Cape Town. You might say to me, Myron, how are you going to find a store for 23,000 Rand? Well, if we got to spend a bit more, the numbers will be adjusted as we go along. I can't even tell you what the new store is going to cost us because we are there with the architects and we are part of this very new stage in South African construction where you can build a building from cannabis. Projections, well, basically the end of 12 months, conservatively, 230,000 Rand in the profit. Aggressively, 600,000 Rand in profit. What does this all mean? Friends, don't get too caught up in what we will make in these stores. This is not why you are here. You are here to make a decision to invest in cannabis, and now I'm going to show you how to do it. So in round 2, we are going to be raising 7 million Rand. And round 2 was only opened a month ago. And you are still early to come in on round 2. We've only been presenting it for a little while, and there are still lots of opportunities available for you to get in on the action at the ground level. Let's go a little bit further. So firstly, what is the number? Well, I told you round 1 was 185,000 Rand. Round 2 is now 467,000 Rand. Wow. You say to me, Myron, if round 1 is 185,000 Rand, why is round 2 so much more expensive? Well, it goes like this. If you arrive at the party early, you get all the best food. The food is there, it's lovely. You get all the best conversation. You can talk to all the wonderful people. It's lovely to be at the party early. And that's why you pick it up at 185,000. But if you come to the party late, you come 3 hours late, what's going to happen is that the food is gone. The conversation is difficult because all the good people are hard to get to. They're in groups and they're entertaining each other. And you are late. So if you are late, you pay more. And that's why it's 467,000 Rand. Now at 185,000 Rand, we found 20 investors who each bought in, who believed in us. And who are they? Well, the late AKA Kieran Forbes, he's one of our investors. His estate owns one of our shares. Investment bankers, actuaries, corporates, artists, customers, just normal people, but also a lot of savvy people. The first round, when we built the green seed and we opened Santa, I told you, people said to me, Myron, what's going on? How can you take a view of 15 million Rand for your company? But when I launched round 1 in the Green Fund Company, we got savvy investors bought in. And now we're launching round 2. And round 2 is more than double. And it's not that easy to find people out there with just under 500,000 Rand. Do you have 500,000 Rand, my friend? You watching this right now. And if I say to you, will you invest? You say to me, man, I can't invest. How am I supposed to find 500,000 Rand? But let me show you some magic. All we do is we take the 467,000 Rand and we take the 15 shares available and we take each share and we divide it by 100 into 1,500 micro units. Look over here. Each 1% in Canada and Africa is divided by 100 to make 1,500 micro units of 4,670 each. Now, my friend, yes, you watching this, it's under 5,000 Rand. I'm asking you. You want to get in. You've missed everything up until now. Why not? Can you afford to invest 4,670 Rand? You know you can. You just have to want to. And that's why you are here with me. You are learning why you should. And if you still are not convinced by the end of this presentation, and you would love to attend a live presentation, and you would love to meet me in person, go to the website when you finish watching this presentation and basically click through on one of the forms and ask to attend a live presentation. And you'll be invited to a live presentation. Now, let's just re-explain it again, because I really need you guys to stop now. Just take a second. I've told you a lot about this investment. I've explained to you that a 185,000 Rand share is now worth 467,000 Rand. And that is more than 50% appreciation, more than 100% appreciation in very short. It's doubled. Wow. And that means that there is a run going to start on those shares. And I have got some investors who are going to start buying those units at 250,000 because the current price is 467,000. And because we are a private equity company and doing all of this, we can't do that. Aha. Okay. So what are we doing here? We are basically doing something that has never been done before in the cannabis industry. We are creating what is called a micro unit. And we have got 1,500 micro units available for you to invest in. Now, if I still had 1,500 after 4 weeks, I wouldn't be a great salesman, would I? So I don't. We have got 1,280 left. Wow, that's good, Myron. Tell me more. So basically, of the 1,500 units we had available, 200 units have been bought by our team. And our team have taken that from the fund, and they're all buying those units over 30 months. And they're all paying 5 Rand a month in their new contracts to be able to own a small piece of the company. And that means we only got 1,300 left. But of that 1,300 I've got left, I've sold 20. That means they're gone. There's 1,280 left. Now you say to me, Myron, that's quite a lot. Not for long, my friend. Not for long. Because this video, as you are watching it, there are 100 other people watching it at the same time. The way you clicked onto this link via a TikTok video, via Instagram, via Facebook, or someone sent it to you who is part of our influencing program, the way you clicked on this link, 1,200 people are clicking on this link right now as we speak. So do not wait. The time is now. Get in at the beginning. Really, I'll tell you more why you want to get in, but get in at the beginning, and the time is now. So now once we finish round 2, we open round 3. Now round 3, we're going to raise 13 million. Let's just summarize. Round 1 was 3.7 million raised. We opened the Pretoria store. We have an example of what it's all about. You can go see it. Proof of concept in the bag. Round 2, 15 shares at 467,000 Rand each. You can buy 1 at the full amount. You can buy 10 at 46,000 Rand, or you can buy 1 at 4,670 Rand. Round 3, we're now going to be raising 13.5 million. And when we raise 13.5 million, we are going to raise that because we know how expensive it is to do business in Africa and how to get into Europe. So this is round 3. Round 3 is not open yet, but I'm going to explain to you what is going to happen in round 3. And round 3, we told you about the party. The people who came early bought at 185,000. Sorry, you came late. You can buy at 467,000. But now we're expecting a guest. The guest is coming in very late. And when that guest arrives, that guest will come in and that guest will come through. And guess what? We've kept food for that guest. That guest is a celebrity. That guest will get a preferential share. That guest will pay more. They'll pay more than double what you are paying, but for their 900,000 Rand, they will get a pref share. And with this pref share, they will then be able to get, obviously, all those things that investors appreciate who go for pref shares. Now, at this point, when it's time to find 15 investors of 900,000 Rand, I have an ace up my sleeve. And I'll tell you about that just after the next round, the next slide. This slide we're going to utilize to help you understand the bigger picture. So basically, how to invest in Canada and Africa. We start with 20 Class C shares available. These are ordinary shares. They sell at 185,000 Rand a share, and those shares are now all sold. There were 20, they are gone. If you want to buy this share is now going for 250,000 Rand. If anyone wants to buy one of these shares, and there's only one for sale. Remember, the investors don't have to ever sell, and most of our investors are holding on for dear life. When we go to round 2, and that is what we launched a month ago, round 2, we launched 15 shares. They are Class B shares. They are also ordinary shares, and we launched it at 467,000 Rand. But now, in order to make it more attractive, in order to make it easier for normal people in this round, we have divided the 467,000 by 1,500 to get to 4670. And the 4670 is called a micro unit, or commonly known as a penny stock. So that is the current offering. Of that 1,500, we only have got 1,280 left. That means there are 220 that are gone. And if you decide to buy today, after watching this video, which I'll tell you exactly what to do shortly, then there will be one less. And there won't be 1,280, there'll be 1,279 left. And this thing will run quickly, and the run will begin. And I have challenged myself to have all of these sold within 6 months. So by the end of this year, we plan to have all of these sold. And then we move over to round 3, and round 3 is where we bring on the 15 heavy investors who each spend just under R1 million, and they get a preferential share. Now, I am being privileged due to my pedigree and due to being who I am. I've been privileged to be mentored by certain individuals. Now, there's a gentleman by the name of Dirk Ackerman, and he introduced me to something called the Lion's Cage. And I will tell you all about the Lion's Cage now. And we are basically selling round 1 and round 2. And then we go to Lion's Cage, which is an investment club. And then there we are going to sell the balance of those 15. So they will not be crowd-funded. They will not be reduced to a lower value. They will be sold in the large value of 900,000 Rand per each one of those shares. And that brings me to the end of this presentation, where I say to you, thank you, thank you, thank you for taking the time out to be with me right now, listen to me, and hear me. Now, before I give you the notes and the appendix, for those of you who still got a little bit of time, and hopefully I managed to give you the full presentation and give you all of my energy to help you make a great decision, you are now going to say to me, Myron, what's in it for me? Let me tell you what's in it for you. For the amount of 4,670 Rand, that's under 5,000 Rand, you can own a piece of the most dynamic, awesome cannabis company out there. You can own a piece of a company that's on its way to a listing in 4 years' time. You can own a piece of the cannabis company that has single-handedly invented its own way of basically moving into the cannabis and wellness space through something that is unique to this company. You can have a piece of that company, and that will only cost you 4,670. We are the company that is writing the code of conduct for the Cannabis Club Association, and that is why you want to invest with us. So what's in it for you? Man, oh man, a whole lot is in it for you. You can't go wrong by investing in this investment. And it's only just under 5,000 Rand. And ask me the question you want to ask me. Myron, it sounds awesome. Should I invest more? You know, I hate the words should, would, and could. Don't. Just buy what you can afford. Buy 1 unit. It's only 5,000, just under 5,000 Rand. 4,670. Buy 1 unit. That's all you need. You don't need you don't need more, because you'll get other opportunities with us as an investor as we go along. Because this is just the beginning of a whole new relationship between you, myself, as your CEO, and our wonderful, wonderful group. So thank you so much for taking the time to spend time with me. Thank you so much for learning all about the cannabis industry. Thank you so much for learning all about CannaTrade Africa. And thank you so much for just really being you and taking some time to be with me. Namaste. Now, before I leave, for those of you who want just to get a little bit more information, I'm going to spend not more than 10 minutes quickly showing you a few things that you need to know. The first thing you need to know is how will you get your unit? Well, if you look over here, here is what we call a share option agreement. You'll be able to go onto our website and you'll be able to fill out this document on our website. And if you can't do it or figure out how to do it, go onto the website, go to the prospectus page. On the more, find a button, contact us and say, hi, I want to get a share option. You then will give us your name and your ID number. You will tell us how many units you want to buy, and then you will be given 14 days in which to pay the money. And if you don't pay the money in those 14 days, don't worry about it. You're not going to lose anything. We're not going to charge you for this option. But if you do pay the money, that way you can have your unit. And the reason why we do something like this is because when the run starts, we will get some investors who will come in and buy large chunks. And we never know. And you might be right here in front of me right now, and you want a unit. So you got to get yourself one of these documents signed, and you got to get it done right now. Because the next conversation that I have might be with someone who buys everything, because the cannabis industry is beginning, and I mentioned that 102 billion Rand number. Cool. Next thing I'm going to show you is the lion's cage document. Now, basically, let's just go back to the beginning of the document. There are so many wonderful investors out there like you. And you are like, I've come across charismatic characters before. How can I trust? And even for some people, a 5,000 Rand investment, a 4,670 Rand investment is all the money they've got. Well, I can tell you, the lion's cage document is exactly what you can use to help you make a decision. Because this document was used by AKA, by Ken Forbes, to make a decision. And in this document, we take you through exactly what we are raising, how we are raising our money. We take you through exactly what we are using the money for. We take you through exactly the problem and how we see ourselves rising above the competition. We explain to you all about how we acquire our target customer acquisition. We have got all the information about the return of investment and, of course, about a beta. Now, those of you who are savvy investors may have learned the term EBITDA, earnings before tax, dividend, and appreciation. And anyone will want to know the EBITDA. And that is what savvy investors would like to know. So let's quickly have a look at this. At the end of the lion's cage documentation is this target. So we've got there 3.1, we've got there 5.2, we've projected 8.9, we killed it with 9.5. And I told you we're around 13.5 million right now due to the energy crisis, and we're well on our way. We are very happy with our growth. You go look at what the EBITDA is. It starts at a minus EBITDA, but what's important as it grows to a comma, just under comma 1, to a 1.5, and we are projecting an EBITDA of 9.6%. So you ask yourself, if I put the money in this investment, what will my return of investment be? And that really is what the EBITDA is all about. Okay, so if you want this document, ask us. It is available also on the website. You'll be able to download it from the website. You can also ask us. We can send you the document, and we will be going back into the lion's cage when we have sold the full round, round 2. My last thing I'm going to show you is basically the websites. The first website I'm showing you is the Greenside website. Now, this is the Greenside website. It is the most wonderful website. It is divided into our pharmacy and deli, to our apothecary, to our Canna Life, our Green Life, our Grow. That's where you're going. If you want to find out about our prospectus, you click on that. You can then see the prospectus. You can buy in there if you'd like to buy in, and there's all the options. When we say buy in, it means that's where you would be filling out your document. The Greenside website is the most wonderful website. It is got knowledge base, it has got items, and you just really can't beat it. Over here, you've got amazing blogs. There's over 1,000 products. If you click into any category, let's say I'm going to click into the apothecary category, let's rather click into the pharmacy category, you will see that there is a video from me telling you all about the pharmacy. So there's a lot of information everywhere. If you decide you now want to buy this lovely wrap, that's a Greenside wrap, you could click in there, and there's a whole way for you to interact with us. The next website I'm going to show you is the Fresh and Healthy website. Here is the Fresh and Healthy website. You can see the new brand, the Greenside Fresh and Healthy, which is trademarked. You can see that it follows a similar look and feel to the other websites, so you can still see that all come out of one stable. You can see more information all about your veggie boxes. We then click over to the Canna Trade Africa website. Again, here is the Canna Trade Africa website. It's again clicking through to our websites, seeing what we're all about, finding out where our stores are and what we're all about. So it's a website that really talks all about the company. We then move over to the Green Clinic website. The Green Clinic website is a website that will be housing our wellness hub, to be housing our entire wellness program. We are very proud of the Greenside Clinic, but it's still coming. So that is the end of our presentation today. I really want to thank you for taking the time to come and spend time with me. You are educated, you have information all about the Green Fund Company, you have information all about Canna Trade Africa. You've met me, Myron. Come into one of our stores in Gauteng. Come and see us. Come and chat to us. Pop in, learn, and just know that cannabis and wellness is here for the foreseeable future, and we're not going anywhere, and we're here to support you, and we're here to take you on this wonderful, wonderful journey with us. Thank you so much for listening, and we really, really appreciate your time and your effort and taking the time, and we want to hear further from you, so please reach out and talk to us, and remember, we are here for you. Namaste.